Today, I want to talk about my formula for success. This is actually my exact path that I've taken over the last 10 years to get to the point where I'm at today.
Learn how to capture attention. My job is to wake people up.
All right, guys. So we are here now with another episode of the Facebook Marketing Ninja podcast. Today is going to be a very, very special one. I'm actually going live on Facebook, and I'm also transmitting this as a webinar. Some of you guys might have gotten a notification on email, on text, on Messenger about this webinar. This webinar is going to be a very special one because I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my own roadmap to success. As you may or may not know, depending on how long you've been on my list, the road has not been an easy one for me. There's been a lot of bumps and there's been a lot of ups and a ton of downs along the way. And I think that my experience can serve as a lesson for a lot of you guys, and it can help you make decisions that might end up saving you some money and energy along the way. Because when you look at other people and you look at their experience, if you don't learn from them, you're missing out big time. I've gone through that route myself. Today, I want to talk about my formula for success. This is actually my exact path that I've taken over the last 10 years to get to the point where I'm at today. August 9th, 2010. Let's go back to that particular moment in time. In that moment in time, it was a very dark day for me in my life. I had a family of 5 already. We were 5 people, 3 children, and I had a brand new, there was a baby coming actually. My wife was about 6 months pregnant at that point, and we had our third child on the way. And the economy had collapsed a few years earlier, and things were looking very, very dark for all of us in general. So what I did was that I declared bankruptcy. At that point, I didn't have any career. I didn't have any degree from university. I didn't have any experience on anything. I didn't know how to really make money. I didn't believe that I could actually make money anywhere else. I was still at that point dreaming about the opportunity of maybe getting lucky enough that have an inheritance show up and me being able to actually, I guess that I wanted to have an easier path and get lucky along the way. I didn't have the dream about being able to build my own business and being able to have what I have today, which is pretty much unlimited freedom, right? I can buy whatever I want. I can be wherever I want. I have a team. I can fly all over the world. I can be here. I can not be here. And that's what money buys you, right? It doesn't really buy you happiness. You have to make your own happiness, but it does buy you freedom for you to be able to do whatever you want with your time. Some people do better, maybe using that newly acquired freedom and invest it in their church. And that way you can actually feel happy, because money does not make you happy. And that is a fact. But it sure as heck makes it easier for you to be able to become happier along the way by being able to do the things that you want to do and not have to do the things that you don't want to do. And that's the idea that that it's built with this whole financial area, right? And I want to tell you about my roadmap, right? So for a few years, I spent, I guess, several years looking for what the heck am I going to do with myself. And that was an intense process because I didn't quite know exactly what I had to do. When that happened to me, in my case, I actually, I said to myself, well, at that point, I didn't really need to figure out a career. I had to just figure out how to make money. And what I did was that I actually, started looking into possibilities, right? I kept on making money and I was saving money so I can actually do something like real estate. I invested $1,000 on learning how to do stock market, particularly something called option trading, which is more of an aggressive investment vehicle. Higher risk, higher reward potential, but definitely very high risk. And I remember one time my brother-in-law, Jorge, who's still a partner with me in my agency right now, we actually went into a real estate opportunity. He used his still existing credit at that point, and he purchased a very, very low income house. And we had the idea of flipping it. We tried to flip it. It was a total failure. It didn't happen. The economy was still not recovered. And that was another failed attempt. So I kept looking at and looking at and looking at opportunities and possible ways for me to be able to win in the game of life. At that point, I had no choice. My other choice was to not survive at all and just quit on life. When you have people that depend on you, that doesn't really makes any sense, right? It's something that you shouldn't even consider. Quitting on life, it's not an option when you have other people under you. It's actually the most selfish thing you could ever make. If you quit on your friends, your family, people that depend on you, well, they're going to suffer and struggle without you. So that's not really an option. What did I have to do? I actually remember looking at my wife in 2010 and saying to her, baby, I don't have anything to even buy diapers for our kids. I don't know what to do. I have to figure it out. I don't have a career. I actually grew up in my dear island of Puerto Rico, believing adamantly that I was going to be a failure because I didn't have a school education. So for years, I kept on looking, I kept on failing. And in 2013, which is, I'm going to get to my formula in a second. It's a formula that I figured out later on once I was successful. How did I get here exactly? And this formula that I'm going to talk to you guys about applies to any of you guys that do want to have success across these existing environments today. 2013, I was presented with an opportunity, and that opportunity was building my own Amazon brand. And the reason why at that point I got interested in it, again, my brother-in-law came to me with the opportunity. My wife, they were both interested in the opportunity, and I sat down with them and I looked at a small briefing about how Amazon was an up-and-coming market and how you can get your own brand and build it on Amazon and sell to people across the United States and very soon across the planet because Amazon is going worldwide. I was buying stuff from Amazon at this point 6 years ago, 7 years ago. What I didn't know was that Amazon was over 50% of the people in that marketplace were actual sellers that were selling their own brands. They were just utilizing the Amazon platform to be able to sell their products. And I didn't know that. And a lot of people still don't know that that's the case, that when they buy things from Amazon, they actually believe that they're buying it from Amazon, not from mom and pop shops or people like you or like me. So I did that in 2014. We launched, I got together with another partner. Uh, Again, he's still with me, Ernesto. Still no money, still cannot afford vacations, trips, nothing. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had a little safe, secure job and definitely still had dreams, goals, and ambitions. And I wanted to somehow figure out how to become successful. I was, I guess you can say, awoken. I realized that I could do more with my life and I could figure it out. And there were people actually out there accomplishing great things without education and without going through the system. So I became enlightened and I started looking at information and I started looking at people and understanding how these platforms operated. I'll get to my success formula in a second. So what we did was that we found another partner. It was me, a partner of mine, Ernesto, and then we found another partner who was able to put some money behind because he already had an existing operation, and we actually got bed sheets in Amazon for sale. And that was my first entrepreneurial venture. I actually saw my partner, Ernesto, selling bed sheets on the road. He used to buy them for $11 and sell them for $20. And when he sells 20 of them, I saw him make a couple $100. And I was like, wait a second, how about if we take that concept and that idea to the online world? The same idea, just let's get it in front of people. Because I understood that traffic, human beings were surely at a very fast pace were moving in the direction of doing all their purchases online already at this point on the internet world. So we got that idea and we got it on online to give you an idea on the simplicity of it. There was already an existing product, and this product was bed sheets. These bed sheets had their own label, and what we did was that we bought those bed sheets and we bought boxes of them, and we got a couple $1,000 investment in these bed sheets, and we grabbed a simple logo that we made ourselves, and we grabbed a very simple copy, a couple lines, and we made our own label. So we took away the logo of the existing bed sheets. I can tell you, it was called Clara Clark, and then we removed that label and we plugged in our own label. The good thing about the bed sheets is that they don't have an embedded label on them. So the low quality bed sheets were now private labeled to the point that they had the name of the brand embedded in the bed sheets itself. The name of the brand was only on the package. So it was as simple as removing the label and putting a new label printed in our printer inside. And guess what? We got our own private label brand. It was as simple as that. So then we started selling on Amazon. And I started realizing that there was an opportunity to compete with the big boys, the Martha Stewarts, the Clara Clarks, all these guys that are big brands out there. And we started selling a few units a day. And it was an awakening again. Wait a second, people are buying my stuff. I'm here in my pajamas at 11 o'clock at night, and I have people investing $29 and buying my bed sheets on Amazon, and they trust this brand that I just made up in my kitchen. Wow, again, awakening. At the same time, when that was happening, I was learning about Facebook advertising, and I was able to create some Facebook ads to send traffic to my listings and get them to convert and buy my bed sheets from us. And that in turn started giving me more energy on Amazon. Amazon liked that, and we started getting more attention and improving our ranking, which in Amazon is key, so important. And what happened was that we kept on growing, and we kept on growing aggressively. And I kept on figuring out social media and advertising on the platform. And I kept on investing more energy in learning the platform. And I kept on working more and more on understanding how these platforms were going to help us grow our businesses. I obsessed over that over the next couple of years. By the end of 2015, this brand was already doing over $300,000 a month. By the end of 2016, this same brand was already doing over $600,000 a month across Amazon and other online channels that we managed to create along the way, like eBay and Walmart and other things that we did. So it was kind of like, wait a second. So I was able to myself, with my knowledge, with my understanding of these platforms, put it into the online world, and a private label brand that I made up from scratch, have it generate $6 million a year, just like that within 2 years. Big awakening. While I was doing that, I started understanding, again, all this was happening without employees. It was happening without people working under me. I had two partners. One of them was in charge of financing the operation and giving us the inventory. The other one was in charge of the numbers, and I was in charge of marketing. And then we had that great combination. And we started doing that. And at some point, 2016, I realized that I needed help. And I started getting some people to help me. And I found help on the Philippines, in Mexico, in the US, and I started forming a team. While all this was happening, which is a big part of my story, I saw my father having a tough time in his Natural Slim business, trying to grow the business and get attention and expand his message and get it seen and heard by as many people as possible. And basically that's what I did for the next several years. I figured out how to help my dad get more attention in these social media platforms. How did I do that? Well, I saw my dad, and he was a great seminarist. He was a great speaker. He had the ability to capture the attention of people when he had them in front of them. So we got my dad in front of a camera and he started doing content and educating, and he got a producer, and we started creating a YouTube channel and a Facebook page to get his content seen by people. At this point, he was a 63-year-old man, and he believed in the platform. He wasn't fully convinced in it yet. He still was doing television ads and trying to survive, but he believed in us enough that he let us do our thing. So in 2015 and 16, we started getting his content out there. And then I started figuring out how to get massive distribution of his content and get it seen by people and do a lot of his content. Not one post a day, not one a month. I'm going to give you guys more details about that very shortly. We started doing a lot of it. And then I figured out the next element, which was distribution of that content, getting it seen by as many people as possible. And there was a strategy for that. As I started doing that, at some point in 2016, my dad started getting about 10,000 new subscribers on his YouTube channel a month. Fast forward that to 2020 now, my dad gets 75,000 subscribers every single 30 days. And he is about to cross 2 million subscribers on YouTube. And he has over 1 million followers on Facebook. And the company went from one single island in Puerto Rico, small island, 2 million people, to a powerhouse in 9 countries internationally, with a system that is growing by leaps and bounds every single year and expanding at an incredible rate. US market, Mexico market, Colombia market, Panama, Costa Rica, Europe, like Spain and Holland. We are growing all over the place. Why? Because we turned my dad's content into a powerhouse machine that gets the content seen by as many people as possible. And then people are calling us. So as you guys see, just to recap the story a little bit, I first figured out these platforms. How do they work, right? Why are they so powerful? I then figured out how to get distribution and with a strategy in place for content, and how to get content seen by people, and how to get people to visit my store. I understood the simple analogy of, well, if I want to get more customers, all I need is to get more potential people to look at my stuff, right? Now, if we compare that with a fisherman, right? If a fisherman goes to a pond full of fish, he's going to have a much greater chance to get fish caught than he would if he actually goes to a pond that is dried up and doesn't have much fish and is like half a feet tall. And that's basically the short story, right? Like, you need to put yourself in a position to get a lot of people to see your stuff. If you have a great product or a great service, all you need to do is get more people to see you, more eyeballs, get more attention. Whether you have a bed sheets business or you have a weight loss business, if you have a consulting business or if you have a construction business, it doesn't matter what you have. If you get more attention, more people to see you, you can win in the game. If you don't have as much attention, then you simply don't win. It's as simple as that, right? Well, those are things that I figured out along the way. I started observing the world and I started looking at what was going on, and I decided to change some things so I can actually behave the way that the world is actually behaving and not try to create new waves. That's what I call riding the waves, right? If you guys have done any of my webinars before or have consumed my content throughout the years, you know that in my case, I generally don't try to make opportunities. I try to discover opportunities and ride them. I discovered the Facebook Messenger opportunity when nobody knew it was an opportunity. 2.5 years ago, I wrote it. It's not the same thing that it is today. I discovered the Facebook ads opportunity 5 years ago. Nobody else was writing it. I was on it in a very aggressive way, so I took advantage of it. That opportunity is still there, but you got to have the right strategy in place. Something that I learned from my father is that a battle does not win a war. A strategy does, right? If you have the right strategy, you can win. If you don't have the right strategy, then you're probably going to lose the game of business. I don't know if you guys have studied the numbers before, but I can tell you that only 5% of businesses ever make it past 5 years. Can you imagine that? 100 businesses that are created today, 95 of them will not be here in 5 years from today. That is a really, really big deal. Most companies are going to fail, and that's just the science of it. If you don't have the strategy in place, you don't win. So, what happened to me was that I built that business and I made it a powerhouse. $6 million a year within its second year, and $600,000 in sales every single month. 2017, in early 2017, I sold that business, and I was out of it. Both Ernesto and I, my partner, we got out of that business, and we started playing the game because I was getting people asking me all the time, "Hey, how did you do that? How did you help your dad make such a huge impact in such a short amount of time?" My dad today gets over 25 million views across his social media channels. That is more attention than we need, way more. Our phones, our orders are nonstop. Why? Because we got so much attention that our problem becomes scaling. It is a beautiful problem. It's what I like to call the Apple problem, right? The problem that Apple company has had for a long time, that they cannot meet the demand. It's not the same today that it was like 8 years ago, when, I don't know if you guys remember, if you were already like into that whole technology craze. But when the first iPhone came out, the lines that people had to make to get an iPhone, the waiting lines, and also you had to pay up front sometimes and order a phone and get it 2 months, 3 months later. That is the idea that you're trying to build with these social media platforms. You're trying to understand how they work, use them, take advantage of them, and take it from the people of, it's my responsibility to get seen by as many people as possible. It is a responsibility viewpoint. If you get people to see you, then you can actually be successful and get more products sold and services sold and get these people helped by you. The way that you want to look at it is like these platforms are presenting you an opportunity to get your message seen at a faster pace that your grandparents had access to. And because of that, it is a responsible viewpoint to get out there and use them, because you do want to use your services and your products to help more people. And that's the mark that you're living. You're living on earth today. That's what it's all about. So 2017, I actually built my agency, and it was just me and a few staff. And fast forward 3 years, 2017, 18, 19, and now January 2020, as I'm recording this podcast, this video with you guys, it grew from just me just a few years ago to now 55 staff and incredible clients like the great Dr. Eric Berg, my father, Frank Suarez, at a whole nother level, people like Nancy Cartwright, and a lot of these great people that I have in organizations and companies that I have in my business, ton of accounts that have trusted me enough for me to help them with my skills and have my team helping them out. And now my agency generating millions of dollars, is responsible for a couple of great things, right? Let me give you some metrics. We have done over 2 billion views across social media in the last few years. We have helped generate over $200 million in revenue over the last few years. We have generated over 7 million leads, subscribers on Messenger, emails, phone numbers. It's quite a bit, right? So we are doing some great things here. Why? Because we figured out this formula that I'm going to go over with you guys right now. That's the formula for success. That whole path that I'm going to give you guys the details right now. The 6 steps are the steps that you need to take to win in the next decade, win now, and get ready for an expansion over the next 10 years. So in 2029, where we're about to end another decade, you can look back at it and said, what did I do to be successful? Okay, I followed Manuel's successful formula. All right, so that is my path. And I want to cover with you guys the 6-step formula that I took over the last 10 years to accomplish success. Again, the first 3 years, I was failing nonstop, but I still kept on applying this formula, and I still kept on trying to be successful. So next, step number 1. Knowledge. When you look at life, when you look at everybody that's successful out there, you can find one common denominator in all of them. They are all experts in their craft. They figured out how to win in the game of their craft, in their business. From the LeBron James of the world, he probably practiced and acquired knowledge like no other basketball player in the world, to the Steve Jobs of the world, to the anybody that's successful in their skill, in their area, has become successful because they mastered that number one step in the formula. They figured out how to acquire knowledge about that area. It's not any knowledge. You got to figure out the right knowledge along the way so you can win in the game. Because if you, for example, right now, go to you say, okay, Manuel, I got it. I want to learn about marketing because I understand that if I don't learn about marketing, my business will not make it in today's environment. Manuel says that it's either marketing or recruiting that's going to fail. It's going to make my business not survive. Well, that's my opinion on it, right? Because if you know marketing, but you don't know how to recruit an organization of people under you, you're still going to have a tough time, right? Trying to get people to get your business to grow, right? So you got to have those things in place. So if you want to learn marketing, you also got to have this next step on the formula. You got to have correct knowledge. You got to have the right knowledge of these platforms. If you go out there and you learn about banner ads, if you go out there and you learn about how to create a great design for a quarter of a newspaper ad, quarter page of a newspaper ad, if you learn about magazine advertising, if you learn about things that are irrelevant in today's world, then that knowledge becomes a total waste. So that's one thing that you got to fix. You got to fix that point because you got to study what's going on today. You got to go and observe, which is what I tell you that one thing that I did successfully over my last decade is that I was always observing the behavior of people around me. When I went to a restaurant, I was observing. When I went to a mall, when I went to a park, what are people doing? One thing that I observe is that they're using their cell phones more than observing the environment. They are walking around looking at their cell phones in the mall and anywhere else they go. They're looking around way less than they're actually engaging with those cell phones. When I actually look at what they were doing, it's inevitable. I was looking once in a while to see what apps they were on. I kept on seeing Facebook repeat itself over and over again. So I saw that people had attention on Facebook. I also at the same time saw the company's numbers. I saw their growth. I saw how they exploded, and I saw how they were managing their platform and their advertising product. And because I saw that, I realized that, maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and call myself not the banner ads ninja. I'm going to call myself the Facebook ninja because that's what people are doing out there. They're consuming content through Facebook more than anything else out there. There are influencers today on Facebook and Instagram that get way more attention on these platforms than they would ever have gotten on television shows. And that's the way it is right now. And that's a fact. So as I observed that, I realized that I should do something about it so I can actually become a master at it myself. So I obsessed over the correct knowledge. I started working on understanding Facebook, Instagram, the Facebook Business Manager. I started practicing how to get all that stuff done. I started testing and trials and errors and nonstop trying to figure out how these platforms work and how to get traffic to my Amazon listings and how to get videos seen by my dad's videos to get seen by people as much as possible, and how to do targeting and how to upload customer lists onto Facebook. I started figuring out as much as humanly possible. Did it happen overnight? Heck no. I have been knee deep into this world for many, many years now. But if I wouldn't focus on one step at a time every single day, learning something new, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. One of the things that I would tell you is that if possible, you need to establish a routine. That routine will be something like when you go to bed, ask yourself, what did I learn today? If you don't have an answer to that question, you get yourself out of that bed and you go and you learn something new. And then you get back on bed and you say, again, what did I learn today? And then you handle yourself that you deserve being on that bed. When you push that knowledge, you can win. An analogy that I like to use when it comes to knowledge is that when you look at a trash can, right, there's a certain limit to what you can put on a trash can, right? This eventually is going to have no more space. I'm going to be done. I'm going to have to get that trash bag and I'm going to have to pick it up and throw it out because otherwise it's going to overflow and the floor is going to be a mess and it looks disgusting, right? Well, the beauty of it is that our crazy mind doesn't have any limits to what you can put in it. It's important that you put the right things in it because if you don't put the right things in it, then you're going to operate in life incorrectly, right? If you have false information, you're not going to be able to succeed with that false information. If somebody feeds to you data about how you should invest all your money on Snapchat ads, and then you go and you lose all your money on Snapchat because maybe your demographic is the 45 to 54-year-old community, which doesn't exist on Snapchat, then you are going to waste every single bit of that knowledge. So correct knowledge is essential, but you got to realize that that knowledge that you can accumulate is basically unlimited. And your value as an individual, whether you're a part of the organization that has seniors, executives, leaders, or whether you are the leader yourself, your value, your worth is determined exclusively by what knowledge you have that is applicable and practical to this world. The more you have, the more you can earn and the more you can expand. It's one of the most logical truths in this world. Your value is not determined by your bank account and how much money you have in that Wells Fargo, BB&T, Capital One, SunTrust account, no matter what your bank is. Your value is determined by what you know. And I'm talking about myself too. I knew that as I accumulated knowledge, my value would increase and opportunities will present themselves. Like the great philosopher Seneca says, something that I use on my seminars, he said, what does it mean to get lucky? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So what I did was that I continuously got myself prepared so I could get lucky and get that opportunity. And now I can succeed in life. And I got lucky. I found a partner who was able to give us some money so we can invest in a company. I created my dad. I got lucky. My dad was a great content creator. All I had to do was get him in front of people, right? I got a unicorn content creator, right? My dad. I got lucky with Dr. Berg. Dr. Berg trusted me and I took over his accounts and I made him way, way, way more famous. And I made the keto diet by itself. I made it go viral. And I was a big part of making that diet become such a powerhouse across the US and around the world. I got lucky. But why did I get lucky? Because I was prepared with that opportunity. That's all. I was prepared with that knowledge to capture that opportunity. It's common sense, guys. So the more that you acquire that knowledge, that you put that knowledge inside your mind, the more prepared you're going to be for opportunities that come your way. So you got to think about, to give you something practical, you got to audit what are you doing every day? What businesses are you running and what things are you doing that maybe are not contributing to your expansion? Maybe you're wasting your time binge watching the brand new show, The Mandalorian, instead of like working on expanding your knowledge. Maybe you're wasting your time drinking alcohol on the weekends when you know you have big dreams and goals that you are not yet even close to accomplishing. Maybe you're actually playing poker on 2 nights a week with your friends that maybe they're all losers and you're not even learning anything from them on getting any value from them. Maybe you're surrounded with people that are too negative. You got to figure that out. You got to audit yourself. What are your dreams and goals? Do you complain about yourself and your life every day because you wish you had more, but then you yourself are not participating enough in making yourself prepared for opportunities to help you expand? You can probably audit yourself and find those things out. If you yourself are happy where you are at and you're good in your existing situation, then that's something, a decision that you also have to make along the way. I myself, we're talking about reverse engineering my own path to success. Once I woke up after 30 something years of slumber and not even realizing that I had power and ability myself, once I woke up, I couldn't stop. There is a switch that now it's broken because I cannot find a way to turn it off. That switch is always on. Some people look at me and they don't even understand how I get this intensity every single day of my life. How for me, Monday to Friday are the best, and the weekends I get desperate because I want to get back to Monday again. They don't understand how I work like that. My intensity. I love what I do. I'm good at what I do. I am expanding and I'm getting every single day a little bit closer to my long term goals. I'm opening up a new office. We're generating millions of dollars. We're doing incredible things. I have 55 staff. I am the leader for this entire organization. My family, my staff, which is my second family, are expanding themselves and making more and earning more along the way. So, because of that, they motivate me to keep on going. That's what I have, and that's my game. And I don't waste any time. I don't play video games. I don't binge watch shows. I don't do things that I know are not going to contribute to my dreams and goals. So think about yourself. What areas can you cut down on that are not helping you provide better for your family and leave a legacy behind? And that's something that you have to figure out yourself, because nobody else will for you. If you have an environment that is tending to be a little bit too negative, that is too conformed with the existing non great condition, non optimum conditions, that you got to figure out how you can change that along the way and get that, number one, knowledge, and number two, correct knowledge of today's platforms. Because if you go learn about MySpace, what are you going to do with that, right? If you go learn about, I don't know, Google Ads only and don't learn about social media, you might be in trouble. If you learn only about email marketing, how are you going to get people to get those email newsletters, right? So you got to learn traffic. You got to understand Facebook, Instagram, Instagram TV, YouTube, Messenger, SMS. You got to understand these platforms. Even I would say things like Pinterest, LinkedIn. If you don't understand these platforms, you will not succeed in the business world in a 2020 and beyond environment. It is mandatory if you want to be a part of this world. That's just the way it is. All right. So we got knowledge and we got correct knowledge. And then number three on this formula, that's going to put us at the halfway mark of the formula, is going to be hard work, right? And if you think about it, it goes all in line and in sequence. This is all a sequence, all right? One doesn't go out without the other one. If you are putting the hard work on incorrect knowledge, chances are it's all going to end up being a failure. So you got to make sure you put in the hard work on the right actions. What does it mean, hard work? Well, similar to what we've been talking about. Hard work basically means not having to, not wasting time on things that are non-productive. Waking up early, going to sleep late, figuring out a routine for yourself. Now, I don't want, it's important for you to take care of your health, because in my case, I have a body condition too, right? I've had body condition for many, many years. I have a background of drugs, and I put a lot of things in my body that hurt my body long term. So I do have to take care of the body. And I also have realized that along the way, if I don't eat well and I don't sleep well, I'm not able to perform as well as I could. So I'm not telling you guys to sacrifice your sleep for hard work. You can do all of it. If you think about 24 hours in a day and separating 8 hours of sleep, and you got 16 hours left, well, what are you doing with those 16 hours? Are you going to dedicate 2 hours to your family? Okay, great. Now you still got 14, right? Are you going to work 10 hours? Okay, so what's going on with the other 4 hours? Why not push it to 12 hours, right? Why not push it to 14 hours, to 13 hours? You can do that. These platforms today allow you to work outside normal office hours. My grandfather, who was, may he rest in peace, who was a businessman himself, he had a toy business in Puerto Rico called Suarez Toy House, very successful business. He had to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. At 5 o'clock, people will punch out, and that's it. There's no cell phones, there's no emails, there's no way to communicate and continue beyond work hours. There's no Saturday and Sunday, there's none of that. In our case, right, we have the ability to continue working beyond those 8 hours a day. Imagine that, right? We have the online world and we can actually duplicate or triple our amount of work because we have not only 8 hours a day, we can do 14, 16 hours a day. So you want to do hard work. What things can you cut down that you're doing that you can work harder in? Hard work includes learning, learning the right thing, and then implementing and testing out that knowledge. You want to get it out. You want to get it out there, and you want to get people to see what you're doing. We're going to talk about that in the next one of the next steps. But you want to make sure that you get people to see what you're doing, and you start getting help and assistance in regards to what you're doing in the actual business world and how you implementing it, just like I did, right? Like on my story at the beginning of the podcast. If you want to go ahead and test out some Facebook ads and get them out there, if you expect to invest energy in doing one Facebook ad and then succeeding and becoming rich and retiring and drink pina coladas at the beach because you hit a home run with your first ad, uh, it's not going to happen. You have a greater chance of winning the lotto than make your first Facebook campaign successful enough that you can go and just quit and just let that campaign run to the end of the moon, right? That's not how it works. You want to make sure that you put the energy behind learning Facebook ads, getting set up on this new world. I did a podcast a few weeks ago talking about the 2020 opportunity. I will be doing more on that. Chat marketing is something that you all need to learn about. SMS, Facebook Messenger, email marketing, all those things have to be a big part of what you're doing. Stop trying to do direct to consumer marketing and trying to get them on their first contact. You're going to have to work on building communities and providing value and retargeting, and then building sequences of content to get people nurtured on what your business is before they trust you enough to give you their money. That's a strategy that works in 2020 and beyond. Lead generation and nurture. Generate leads on Messenger, on phone numbers, SMS, on email, and then on the back end, give them sequences of content and messaging until they feel they should trust you enough to give you their money. All right. So hard work is an essential part of it. I put a lot of energy on it. I spend hours a day learning. I listen to podcasts. Some of you guys that are listening to my podcast, you should be listening to all my podcasts and any other podcast out there that is helping you. You should be learning on the car while you're driving. If you're taking a shower, listen to a podcast. If you're cleaning the house, listen to a podcast. If you're doing exercise, listen to a podcast. Don't be listening to Guns N' Roses or what is this guy's name? Ludacris or Juice World and all these guys or Slayer or anybody, right? You can actually just focus on training yourself, on learning something about these platforms, on educating yourself and improving your value every step of the way. All right. So that's what I did. I learned every day and I implemented hard work. I studied books. I read books. I listened to podcasts. I watched YouTube videos. I got myself educated. Like you can make a list of the things that you want to learn about. Facebook ads. All right, well, find an expert. Guess what? I'm a good expert on Facebook advertising. I don't care who you choose. Find somebody, stick with that person, and learn about Facebook advertising, especially from somebody that has been down the road before. Not a talker, somebody that walks the talk themselves. I am spending millions of dollars in Facebook advertising myself. I know what works and what doesn't work. Why not listen to somebody like me consistently so you can keep on traveling the roadmap that has been traveled already, right? You want to learn about Google Ads? Well, there's experts on that. Find one that's going to teach you and stick with that person. You want to learn about content distribution. All those things, no matter what, you find the person and you learn about it every single day a little bit more. Business establishment, there's people that are teaching you about that. Again, whatever it is, make a list of subjects that you want to learn and obsessively learn so you can increase your value as an individual within that particular area. All right. So that is hard working action and then implementing that knowledge. I used to have a 80% learning percentage of my time and 20% implementation. As you get deeper into the business world, you can start moving into 60-40, 50-50, etc. You get the idea along the way. All right. So hard work. Let's go to the next one. I want to call this aggressive communication. Let me briefly explain what that means. Aggressive communication. You mean like getting in a fight or something with people? No, this is a term that I coined myself because you need to start communicating in these platforms in obsessive fashion, no matter what your business is. You need to start communicating on Facebook, on Instagram TV, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Instagram stories, on Facebook stories, on Pinterest, on anywhere where there's a potential audience there interested in what your message is in your products or services. No matter where that is, you need to be omnipresent. Omnipresence means being everywhere, and you need to be in as many places as possible. What I do, if you follow me in social media, you will see that my usual process is that I have an editing team of a few people, and they're always looking to repurpose content nonstop. Today, if you go to LinkedIn, you might see a video of mine that maybe is from a seminar 2 years ago. Tomorrow, if you go to Instagram, you might find a seminar that I did 6 months ago or a podcast from 4 months ago. We keep on using and reusing content. We grab one piece of content and we turn it into 20 different pieces of content that makes people feel that I am everywhere. We are trying to create the appearance of omnipresence. We're trying to be godlike in social media. When people open up Facebook, we want them to see us there. If they open up the Instagram stories, we want to be there as they're scrolling through the Instagram stories. No matter what, we want to make sure that people see us and they see us in an aggressive way, aggressive communication. When you feel that you are communicating too much, you are doing a great job. Means that you're moving in the right direction. When you have somebody like your mom, your brother, your friend telling you, hey, I think you need to take it down. You need to bring it down a notch. That's when you need to say to yourself, okay, I think I'm doing a good job. Let me step it up. When somebody tells you you're doing too much, do the opposite. Do more. What you want to do is you want to leverage these platforms to get yourself seen by people as much as possible. That is the long-term Coca-Cola Kleenex effect. You don't want to be a diaper. You want to be Pampers, right? Even though there's like 27,488 different diapers brands, nobody cares about anything else except Pampers. How come? Well, it's common sense. They saw diapers become Pampers over years of marketing, getting seen by people over and over and over again. Sodas are really Coca-Colas. Isn't that incredible? Tissues are not tissues, they're Kleenexes. So what do you think? This has been done before. The fact that it wasn't done in social media is a different story. It is the same marketing process. It is getting these companies out there and seen by people day after day after day after day as much as humanly possible. What do you think? Did it work for them? I would say it did, right? They are international phenomenons. They have completely transformed the way that you talk about those particular products. Pretty incredible. So this whole strategy works. I want people to think about when they think about metabolism and health, the only picture that I want in their minds is Frank Suarez. When people think about the ketogenic diet, the only thing that I want on people's minds is Dr. Eric Berg. I want Dr. Berg to be synonym with the word ketogenic diet. And that's what you want to do. Now, how do you accomplish that? I know sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes you feel like, am I doing too much? You got to understand that these social media platforms, they are meant to be used. And also, not everybody gets to see your stuff. So even if you post the same thing every day, chances are that somebody else different is going to see it every single day because the organic reach is something else. Now, along the way, you have to become a traffic expert because as you build this process of creating a ton of content, if you don't figure out distribution of that content, you don't win the game. So you got to figure out distribution, and that will be something that is connected with this step right here. Distribution of that content, right? So aside from aggressive communication, you now have to add to it distribution of content. It's two separate subjects. I can get myself on a camera and I can do a Facebook Live all day long, and I can do an Instagram video, and I can do a podcast every day, and I can do all that stuff. If I don't figure out how to get that content out there, then nobody's going to see it, right? So I got to do aggressive communication followed by distribution of that content. How do you do that? Well, guys, the Facebook Business Manager. You can do the Facebook, my courses, my training. You can just keep on trying out how to get that content seen by people and figure out what the funnel is and what the customer journey is. All right, so you get the idea. Aggressive communication. If you don't put that point in, if you don't figure out how to stop worrying about what other people think, if you start being concerned about, I don't look good, my hair is messy right now, right? Do I care about it? No, I'm here with you guys, right? I haven't shaved this morning, right? I just want to get out there and I want to do aggressive communication because I know the long term providing value to you is going to end up giving us more business. And it's been a fact throughout the last few years that I have customers that want to be a part of my agency nonstop. And why? Because I did work enough at aggressive communication to show them that I cared about them. Now, what did I do on that aggressive communication? That's the next step. And the next step, number 5, is provided value. What I did was that I figured out how to, from my area of expertise, give value to somebody else. And what I can tell you is this: we're almost to the end of it. Wow, it's been almost an hour. Appreciate you guys being here. Hope that you've been enjoying the training so far. This is a formula that I can tell you that it's 100% guaranteed to work if you actually do the steps. It's a guarantee. There's very few things in life more than obviously death is a guarantee, right? Other than that, if you do this and if you do it well enough, you are guaranteed to expand, whether you are inside a business as an employee or as a leader. Provide value is number 5. Why? Because this social media world that we're living on requires that you give something to people before they trust you. You are not going to be a direct response marketer anymore and get people to open up their wallets if you have not done something for them first. Nobody buys my Facebook advertising course unless they have grabbed a piece of data that I've given them and turned that into something valuable that has somehow helped them. Nobody calls my Natural Slim clinics and orders products unless my dad has done a good enough job of providing value and educating. People do not go to drberg.com and purchase products unless they have seen enough content from Dr. Berg that makes them all excited about buying Dr. Berg's supplements. That's the way we work right now. That's the world we live in. And this thing has been repeating itself over and over for the last several years. People like Grant Cardone is building $1 billion fund by getting his content seen by people and getting people to trust them. There's stories after stories after stories of how this is happening today. So you got to figure out what value can you provide, whether you have a beauty line, consulting, a tax agency, whether you are a teacher on a subject, you have a marketing business, an agency of sorts, whether you have a construction business, no matter what you are, if you're a plumber, you got to figure out what value you have that you can teach people that's going to help them improve an area of their lives. If you don't have something to provide of value, then you're really not running a business. You're probably running some kind of criminal organization, because any business that's successful, any good business, whether you have an Amazon brand or you have a brick and mortar store, or no matter what it is, your knowledge led you to create that brand. That knowledge can lead somebody else to improve an area, feel more beautiful, feel more comfortable, feel happier, better relationships, better businesses. They can build their house of their dreams. They can buy their house of their dreams. Somehow, that knowledge that you possess needs to be structured in a way that somebody else can do something with it and improve an area of their lives. And this is how you win the game long term. You can even write about that knowledge. You can do a podcast like myself. You can do videos about it. You can share graphics about that particular knowledge and do slide decks and webinars and just educate people and show people that you care about. For example, today, am I selling you something? I'm not going to sell you anything. I don't need you to buy anything from me. I'm here playing the long game. I'm helping you by providing you a route, a path to take for you to expand in 2020 and get that much closer towards accomplishing your dreams and goals. If you think about it, I've had this life in this body for 38 years now. I'm going to be 39 in January 16 of this year, 2020. I have been expanding only for 7 years out of 38, which means that 31 years of my life, I wasn't really that great. I did a few years of tennis and I was pretty good at it, but then I did drugs. I was criminal. I didn't do well in life. I failed at school. I failed after failed after failed after failed. In just 6, 7 years, massive turnaround to wild success, to have all of you guys listening and watching my story and learning things from me along the way. 6 years go like this. They disappear. They are fast. If you do things right, even though you're going day by day, you're going to see yourself in a very different place in about 5, 6 years. And you're going to look back at a few turning points in which you changed your mindset enough to know that your potential was now being reached and you had to work at getting yourself to a whole new level. It all starts with that mindset. Change that mindset and you win. Keep the same mindset and you stay where you're at today. I'm talking about my own route to success. I knew that if I didn't change the way that I thought about me being a failure, about me not being set up for success, I was not going to be a success. Today, I am teaching other people that are supposed to be more successful than me. Today, I have brands coming to me asking me for help because they know that I can help them grow their businesses. And that's what success really looks like. Provide value, figure out what you're going to write, what you're going to talk about, and do it aggressively. Do it nonstop, every day. Put yourself in a position in which you realize that you got to keep it doing every single day as much as possible, because you know that if you do it, you're not going to win in 4 weeks. You're going to win long term. And you're going to win because you mean well and you really want to help people with your information. That is a guaranteed route to success. And that's what's going to lead me to the sixth and final step on this formula. You guys ready for it? Check it out. Persistence and patience. Persistence and patience. You got to be persistent. You got to be patient. You can't give up after a month of trying to go down this path. You can't give up 3 or 4 months of going down this path. If you're not succeeding, let me tell you why you're not succeeding. Are you ready for this? You simply have not acquired the correct knowledge. Or you acquired it, and you haven't worked hard enough at implementing that knowledge. There is no other reason why you wouldn't succeed. If you go out there and you try to succeed as a Facebook advertising, as a brand, and you fail, well, what you do, the same thing that I did for years, was that you go back to the drawing board and you figure out what you need to do to make yourself successful. And you learn something new and you get back at it. If you guys have never seen the Rocky Balboa speech to his son, when his son was actually like throwing a fit to him, which is again one of the greatest scenes of all times in the movies, right? He talks about how son is not about how hard you get hit, it's about getting hit and standing up and keep on going and continuing the battle and the fight. And that's how you win the game of life. It's not about getting hit, it's about you get hit and you go out there and you continue the battle of life, because you know that if you continue going, you will eventually win. There's no such thing as, hey, I failed. What does exist is that you didn't persist enough and you didn't have the patience to continue down a path to become successful. You gave up before you succeeded. And that is the way. Now, my intention is not to be a motivational speaker. I'm talking to you about my own path. I have to apply these things for myself again. Is it easy to build a business and to be an entrepreneur? Heck no. It's a challenge every single day. I am handling fires nonstop. I get clients fire me. People insult me and criticize me. They complain about me. But guess what? I pick myself up and I keep on going because I have those dreams and those goals and those ambitions that are bigger than any single one punch that I could ever get in the face. So, what you do is you persist and you have patience. And if you do that, you will continue winning in the game of life. And you repeat this process over and over. You get the knowledge, get the correct knowledge, you work hard at it, you do aggressive communication, you learn distribution of that communication, you provide value, you have persistence and patience. And I promise you that if you do that as a route, this is the only thing that I'm going to promise you something. I guarantee you, you will succeed. Do this long enough. Some of you guys are going to do it for a few months. Some of you guys are going to do it for years until you really see some massive action. But this is a path that really does make sense. And I built this myself. This is my own formula, learned by my own experience, that has taken me to what I am today. And as you guys may or may not know, I'm just getting started. All right. And that's the way it is. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you had you missed part of this the training, podcast, webinar, whatever it is that you're wherever you're catching it, you can go back to the beginning and check it out. I think that it's going to provide a lot of value. Hopefully this is the most valuable podcast that you guys are going to be able to you're going to get ever, and it provides enough value so you guys can kick it into high gear. So with that, we're going to be ending this podcast today, and hopefully you guys go take up on my word and keep on killing it in the social media in today's world. All right. Talk to you soon.